Hi everybody, and welcome to this tutorial where we are going to draw a field and a fence in perspective. And what we're going to use is an HB and a 4B graphite pencil. In this case the Faber Castells. I'm also using my Faber Castell knife. A cloth is also sufficient. And this is the magnificent Koh-I-Noor pencil eraser. And also a blender stick. And for this drawing I'm also creating a little bit of graphite powder. And please check out my Patreon page if you want. You can support me there for very little money and help me create even better tutorials. And you can get all kinds of tips there and official prints that you can use for your study purposes. Now this is the setup that I've made for you, and I've done a forward line so you can see what I'm getting at, and you can also find this print of course on my Patreon page. Now here is your disappearing point, and I need that for deciding where the fence will be, but also the shadow that is casted and is in the field. And whatever object you want to draw in, that's not so important at all, but what is of course that background where there's no perspective, and the front in which there is a lot of perspective. Now I've made as simple as possible pre-sketch for you. And here you can see exactly again what I'm showing. That's the horizon and all those disappearing lines coming from that one point and the vague background. So what I start doing is I pick up a little bit of graphite powder, and I first want to determine where the darker parts are in my landscape. So I simply place that in very quickly with that Faber Castell knife, or you can use a cloth or your finger or whatever you want, an ear stick or something. But this works very fast and very good for you. And of course you can draw this all in with the graphite pencil, but this will take hours. And this is just very quickly and a painting way of drawing, I think, and I just love it. It gives me a direct feel of what I want to be doing. Now once you've put in your graphite powder, you can already start by putting in a little detail in the background. Now in the background there are some bushes and some higher trees. So I simply place this in with the HB pencil. Now the HB I only use for the far away objects. And the HB is of course much lighter than the 4B that we will be using later on. The background has as little detail as possible. Just a little bit, and this will make it appear far away. And here I'm using the pencil eraser to draw out a little bit of the trees, but I will keep it as vague as possible. Now here on the right there are some twig-like bushes with maybe some reed in them, and the sun is shining through that. So in the bottom part of those little twigs on the right side there is a little bit of shadow on the lower part, of course, and here is a sand pad or something. And this is the fence that we've been drawing in by using that disappearing point. And on the side of that fence of course is a little bit of shadow, And for working towards the front, I am using the 4B graphite pencil. Now this 4B is a little bit darker than the HB, so I get different kinds of gray working together. And I also use that towards the front for putting in extra dark shadow. Now this creates a lot of perspective by simply using that 4B for the darker parts. And here I'm using the pencil eraser for drawing out the fence and some twigs on the right, and some light that is falling onto the field. You can see how easily the graphite can be erased. And I also draw in some light that is on the grasses on the field, just in front of us. And I work this around in that shadow too, because that shadow has to be lively. So keep the lines scribbly. And you can also pick up some graphite powder with your blender stick and put in some vague shadows. And at this stage I just keep putting next to each other darker and lighter areas. And I put in as much detail in front as I possibly can to get that realistic feel of grasses and the field in front of us. The grasses just next to the fence, of course, are a little bit higher and are also casting a shadow into the field, as is the fence itself. And here in front I will want to make that as dark as possible. I light up the scent path a little bit, and I hit that grass again with the pencil eraser. So I shift a lot around with the pencil eraser and the pencil itself. And here in the background I'm also using that pencil eraser to draw in just a little bit of detail. The blender stick I use for the high trees, and I'm hitting that graphite into the paper. And here on the left I can make those trees a little bit lighter as the sun is shining upon them. So that's a nice detail too. And it's almost a painting way of drawing, and I just love it. I love how the graphite lets it steer around, and you can just keep working in it as long as you want and get in all the fine details that you want. It's a magnificent medium. So this is my field, and I think I will leave it up to here, just get in some shades. But what is very, very nice now is that you can see that all those shadows and all those lights that are on the field are all going to point towards the object that I want to draw in the front. You can see the shadows of the poles that is from the fence and that is casted upon the field are all pointing in the direction of that cow. Now that's very interesting. The pre-study I did for you to get the feel of that field, I've drawn in a horse head and a little horse on the back that's grazing. So that's just an idea. Now for this tutorial I'm going to draw in a cow, but just whatever subject you want to draw in the left side, make sure that you place a drawing sheet or something underneath the palm of your hand, so that you do not blur out all your drawing you did on the right side. Now once you want to draw in any object you want, first take out your HB pencil and put an underlayment of HB of the subject you want to draw. In my case, this is a cow, and I just start trying to get the feel of the shadows that are on the subject. Now, I did another tutorial on how to draw a tree trunk, and also here you can see that it is very important that you keep track of where your light source is coming from. Now, in the case of this landscape, our light of source was coming from the right side. So in the subject you want to draw in, you also keep that sun on the right side of that subject. Now here I'm coloring in my cow, and as you will see, as I continue drawing in that cow, I keep track of that sun. The left side of the cow will be quite darker than the right side. Here I'm checking to see whether or not I'm doing it okay, because you have to get the colors or the shades of gray correct on the same way as the grayness that you are using in the rest of the surroundings of that cow. Now, if you made that cow too light, then it will stand out too much from the rest of your drawing. And if you were to draw it too dark, then maybe it is also out of place. For now I'm safe, and I will check again, and now I'm using the 4B pencil to draw in the nostrils and the darkness inside of the eye and the ears. But I will have to keep checking, like I'm doing here, and yes, that's okay. So I need enough of 4B to get the same feel in the cow as I do on the rest of the drawing. And then I use the blender stick to blend in everything on the left side of, in this case, the cow. Now, then I simply put in a little bit of grasses to blend this all together, and then I have a great study of a cow in the fields. Now, I hope you will give this a try, because this is one magnificent way of drawing. And of course, I also hope for a big thumbs up for this video. And just check it out, and also check out my Patreon page. And I will see you again next week in another tutorial. Thanks for watching.